fucking professionals back at it.
Countdown's intimidating.
It is. We got this new format and it's great.
Yeah. New format. We don't have to clap anymore.
I know.
No more clap slates. I feel like it's weird to not do a clap slate,
Now
right?
I can really say we're fucking professionals.
Yeah. No more janky clap slates. Today is Thursday, April 22nd, 2021. This is the Producer's Happy Hour.
It's Earth Day, right?
It is Earth Day. I meant to say that.
There you go. So we're there you go, Lawrence. I pick up where you put off.
Exactly.
And you pick up where I put off. We're two producers on opposite coasts. Lawrence Lewis is in LA and I'm Sister Christian in New York. We're chatting over drinks about what it means to be a good producer. And to be honest, guys, this is more important today than it's ever been.
It is. And we want to hear from you. We want to hear your stories and your input. So please join the conversation at producershappyhourgroup.com or email us at producershappyhour@gmail.com. Send us your questions, your comments, your ideas, your topics, anything you want. Better yet, send us a voice memo because we'd like to hear your voice instead of ours sometimes.
Although this is lovely. And don't forget, I need this. We need this. We need you to rate us, review us on Apple Podcast because it really helps other, whatever algorithms and shit they have out there. This really helps other people like you find us. And we are in this business to help people. So.
Exactly. And if you have any questions for us, you can join our office hour. I feel like we need a sound effect for office hours. We have office hours.
Like a ding, ding.
Yeah, ding. Yeah,
Like
Sister Christian, I really believe in mentorship and sharing information in this business because that is lacking. We all know that. So if you're new to the industry or you're stuck somewhere in your career, need some advice, hit us up. We love to chat with you. Same email for now, producershappyhour@gmail.com, and just let us know you'd like to have office hours with us.
Always open.
Always open. Ding.
Ding.
All right. What's your beverage of choice today?
Well, I am having, it's been a crazy week. I don't know why, I don't know how, but they just keep getting crazier and crazier. So I'm having a tangerine White Claw and have a spare watermelon White Claw just in case we go long. This is shout out to White Claw box number 2. All you White Claw fans will know what that is. But yeah, it's good stuff.
It's an assortment.
It's an assortment pack that has really good flavors, and there's always one or two that you don't really like in the assortment pack. But 2 is all palatable. What are you drinking today?
Well, I'm enjoying my old standard because again, crazy week, no time for fancy cocktail tonight. A Stone IPA, a Stone Delicious IPA.
You love an IPA.
I sure do, but stick with us, guys, for all the delicious high-end cocktail recipes
that we promise we're going to have.
We promise we're going to have eventually.
Exactly.
All right, man. It's been a week. What's up?
It is. So we should probably recognize out there a few things like, it's busy. But busy in a frantic way. And I mean, listen, if I'm a broken record, sorry about that. But there's like panic going on and not enough money in budgets. And just, so it adds stress to your own personal life because I'm vaccinated fully now. And so it means that I can start getting back out there, and the added stress of like, crazy jobs with frantic clients and not enough money is just not how I wanted to come out of this pandemic.
Yeah.
So mentally, I'm like mush right now.
Yeah, very mushy. And I am feeling the same exact thing. And then also on top of it, we have to acknowledge the trial of George Floyd's murderer. Was a bit of a stressful addition to this week as well. Thankfully, a guilty verdict came through on all counts, so that was a bit of a relief.
Yes, it was. I know you and I were together when we heard the verdict, and I was crying. You were crying. It was a very emotional time because this is the first time ever that this was a huge trial. I will always remember where I was when I heard the verdict. This is the first time that a police officer has been held fully accountable for this. And it had to it only happened because we all like the world witnessed George Floyd's death.
Yeah.
Over and over and over again for the last year. That's the only reason. So we really need to step up our shit.
We do.
As a society, folks, get on it.
Yeah. It was great to have a guilty verdict, but it does not erase 500 years of systemic racism in this country.
No, it is. And we can't stop here because it's just like when we, some circles, when we elected Barack Obama, we're like, okay, great. So we're not have racists anymore because we had a black president. It's like, whoa.
Hang on.
Listen, red guys, that's not how this works. And I feel like that this is like, okay, so, I mean, I could see this going that route. We can't let it.
We can't let it. And to your point, it's frantic out there in work land. It's stressful out there in socio-political land, or whatever you want to call it. And
bars are opening back up, which is scary.
And bars
as fuck.
are opening back up. Things are opening back up. Oh, and the other really heart-crushing news out here. I don't know if it affected you in New York, Christian, but the ArcLight Cinema is closed.
Yeah. I mean,
I think
it broke closed. Sasha's heart because he was the one who like called me to tell me, and I was like, all right, got it. But no, it is because I'm, it's a staple.
It's a staple, and thankfully, the Cinerama Dome does have some historical status. Mm-hmm. So, I think there was a panic of it being torn down or something, but I don't think that's a reality.
LA doesn't allow that shit. They'll be like, granolas like chain linked in front of you.
Yeah.
There's no way that'll happen.
But don't get LA wrong. We will tear down some beautiful shit for a parking lot.
I know, but when it comes to anything Hollywood related.
Yeah, true. All right. Today's topic, like we said, it's busy.
It is so busy. So we thought what we do is address the realities of a short prep, because we've all received that phone call of frantic, of course, like I've called 17 producers and you're number 18 on the list and I don't even know who I got you from, but can you do a shoot on Tuesday? And it's basically Friday. And you're like, no, I wouldn't entertain that before. And I know that feels like a gross thing to say, but I wouldn't, because I know that it's not impossible, but I'm not willing to put myself through that anymore. But that feels like what every job is right now.
It does. And, we were our cute, naive, pandemic selves.
I know. We were so young back then, 6 months ago.
We were really hopeful, and we were really hoping that, maybe we could all slow down a little, take production a little more seriously,
society
cautiously.
Society
would change.
To each other.
It was like we were in our 20s again.
Oh, yes.
Our hopeful 20s.
Yes.
And that's not the case. A lot of the budgets, I don't know about you, Christian, a lot of budgets I've seen, the number is good. It's decent. It's still tight, as they all are now. But then you dive in and you realize, oh, wait, a big chunk of this are the COVID costs.
Yeah.
Which were supposed to be added on top of.
Yeah, but no, what's happening is they're slicing and dicing everything else. And so you look at the overall number, like you said, and you're great. But then you go in and you're like, wait a minute. The rates are $50 less. The cameras bid for $2,005, the camera package. I mean, just little things like that. And you're like, Jesus, I mean, yes, I can make these deals, but this isn't a sustainable model.
No.
I mean, could make them once, but right now, I mean, I've been hearing stories about people and vendors and stages picking and choosing their jobs because it's a crew market.
Oh, completely. Mm-hmm. Production teams are picking and choosing their jobs because there's options out there.
Exactly. So you don't have to rush out and take that. So, and I think it's a bit of a detriment I understand that companies need to take the work. I'm not going to take it if I can't do it. I don't know why production companies are taking work and then in this type of environment that is so crazy and they don't have a team lined up.
Right. So what are your tips for looking at a job that's got a truncated production schedule? Is that a polite way of saying it?
I'm going to start right off by saying the very first thing I do is how many producer days are there in? Because that kind of informs everything else involved with a job. Like if, you're expected to do work starting at a certain point, but you're not getting paid for 3 days later, is that worth it? A. And then if your days are cut, then you better be looking at your team's days and stuff, because you have to protect yourself and your team first, because you're the one actually making the job happen.
Yep. And everyone's looking to you.
Yep.
And the buck stops with you.
Yeah.
So, if you've got 7 days for your PM or something, and you're going to bust their ass and they're going to work weekends and late nights and all that to prep a job, that kind of rests on your shoulders. So, is that something that's sustainable? If not, then you got to find ways to move money to pay your crew properly.
Exactly.
The thing I look at is because I spoke with Jay Nunez at the AICP, not spoke, was it
email.
Digital speaking email about the contract that we are under for COVID testing protocols,
right,
which expires in like 8 days.
Of course it does.
Right? And I haven't really heard much about it. Granted, I'm not on the calls, the Zooms or whatever they are. So she said it's definitely getting extended. So we're going to continue.
But so assume that we're, following those guidelines from last year.
Right. And if you're on an AICP job, that means you have to test everybody within 72 hours before physically showing up in each other's presence. And for every instance of that, so Director Scout, Tech Scout, any sort of testing or group function, if it's more than 3 days apart, right, you have to test every 3 days. So if your Tech Scout is on, Wednesday and you don't shoot till the following Wednesday, you got to test again. So is there enough time to get, sometimes on these short schedules, if you've got a Director Scout coming up, you got to start testing people the day you book the job. Yeah,
and I've seen posts on CoPros and WearSpot and such of like, does anyone have a gaffer available and has been tested recently because of this very thing? Another important point is your initial startup calls with the agency producer and director are crucial. You have to set these deadlines because what will really get you going is if you have to send something to the agency to pass by the creatives, and then that has to go up the chain to the client and then come back to you. If you don't have that kind of time, then again, you have to set really clear deadlines and expectations.
Yeah. A lot of times the clients will expect or demand 48 hours to make
and
a
it's
decision
like,
on something.
in what world are you living?
And
That's
some
like
of these schedules.
1998.
So having that conversation on your very first phone call is so important. The other thing, Christian, is permitting.
Oh, yes. I ran into this.
What happened?
Well, so everybody's still working from home. In the LA permit office, even though they're open and they carry their regular hours. But I ran into in March, we did not turn in our permit on a Friday until after 2:30, and it was denied. And you used to be able to turn it in up until the time they closed. And it was just something that something that happened. We had to push a day, which was fine. I mean, it all worked out, but I was a bit blindsided by it, and they were unwilling to bend, which again, I understand.
Yeah, some neighborhoods require more time, red tape.
Exactly, that too.
In New York, if you are in a building that might have a co-op board, you got to get their permission.
And
that's
the
a nightmare,
insurance, right? And the you have like so many layers. You can't just like the days of paying off a super to be in a building.
Long gone.
Are long gone.
Long gone. And here in LA, some neighborhoods that get shot frequently have HOAs that you have to talk to and get approval.
Tech Scout meeting hi, how you doing? Yes, thank you so much for letting us film here. Yeah, all that crap.
Thanks,
and
Karen.
They have to have notice. You have to post.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This town is so busy right now that finding crew at the last minute is really hard. So if you are offered a job and you look at the rates, if they're not industry standard rates, either union or non-union, it's going to be hard to get some crew.
Absolutely.
Because they have their choice right now of jobs.
Yeah. And you can, we're all asked quite a bit to lean on the relationships we have with crew. So if you have good relationships, fantastic. But is this job worth straining that relationship for?
Yeah.
You either have time or money. Is the budget enough to be able to afford things last minute? Or are you rushing? Are there rush charges? The wardrobe stylist need 4 more assistants to get all the shopping done because the fitting is 2 days later, because you have 10 talent for some reason. By the way, the second thing I look at is how many talent. And if it's a lot, I'm like, I don't know if I want to do the job. But only because of or kids.
Never
or
work with
animals,
kids.
maybe. I know, but it's just
No,
it's time or money. And if you have neither,
it's
then
pretty tricky. It's
just
pretty
consider
tricky.
that. Yeah, if you have plenty of money and no time, then you can throw bodies at it, production capable folks that can help, but there's only so much time. Like money, you need both these days.
Yeah. You mentioned wardrobe. A lot of the costume houses still have truncated hours.
Of course they do.
And you can only have so many people in there at a time.
Yeah, it's yes, exactly. The days of 5 wardrobe stylists being in there at the same time, like chatting it up, that shit's gone too.
Yeah. And the other thing that happens so often here in Los Angeles is that we run out of trucks.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that the weirdest thing? This is
it happens in New York too.
It's like
there's only 2 truck vendors in New York. Out there's several, but yeah, it gets eaten up so fast.
It's wild. And sometimes when PMs do this a lot, the first thing they'll do is put trucks on hold when they hear about a job.
I mean, Jennifer at Courier was as a PM, and sometimes as a producer was my first call. Like you get in there and you get your vehicles on hold, blanket hold, and then you can scale back if you need. But yeah, that's a big one. And second was camera.
Yeah, exactly. What was that thing where it's you can have 2 out of the 3: fast, cheap, and good.
Yeah, fast, cheap, and good.
Right?
I think 2.
You can have 2, and so you always got to look at the budgets with that in mind. If it's a product shoot,
yes,
either food or some sort of specialty product that might only be a prototype, this harkens back to your kickoff call with the agency producer, right? Christian, we should put a checklist together.
I think we should actually. That would be a great idea because it would be a good resource. Because I know that when I've had jobs where, say you're filming for Victoria's Secret or somebody and they can't ship the product to you in time. You have to send several stylists or PAs or whomever to every Sephora in town and buy them up.
Assuming it's on the shelf.
Assuming it's on the shelf. And that could be thousands of dollars worth of product that you buy. Especially for like makeup or creams or those kinds of things. Yeah, I've lived all of that. So yeah.
And if it's food, same thing. Those orders come from a third-party distribution center, and the client needs to put those orders.
And they need to know a month in advance.
They need to know a month in advance. So if you've got like a 2-week schedule and it's food, that first phone call with your agency producer, it's like, where's the food? How's it getting to me? It needs to let's get that.
Yeah. Is it being shipped to the store in, Union Square or the one in, deep Brooklyn, you know what I mean? Like you just have to be prepared. And again, is there time for this? And then quarantine timelines. There's still states that require quarantines. There's still, just travel these days, even though it's opening up, is still regulated by the federal government. So, you need to check on all of those things if you're traveling yourself or a director or whomever. If you are a SAG actor, you need to be able to adhere to those rules. So that's a big red flag as well.
And each state's going to have different
each state has
quarantine rules.
Right? Yeah, that's why filming was wide open forever in Florida and Texas, because it's a wild west.
You can always count on
Florida and Texas
doing whatever you want.
Exactly.
And then I think when you go through all of this, we're not saying don't take jobs, guys, right? Obviously.
Oh, no, gosh, no.
No. Take jobs. But look at it and just understand the realities of timing and how everything's a little bit slower these days, and there's a lot more regulation involved. So do an analysis of the schedule and set some expectations with your EP, your director, your agency producer, and lay down the realities of like, this is
what's possible.
What's possible in the 8 days you've got to prep the job. Say, guys, this is what needs to happen. If anything does not happen on this timeline,
well, we're going to try our very best. Oh, and they always want to hear you. I know it wasn't, but I tell you that they want to definitely hear it in a positive way.
I know. Of course.
I'm just saying, like,
of course. And
diplomatically,
it's like, we need to do like, do you ever see there's a translations of real estate terminology, like make it your own means like it's a dump. I think we have the same.
I know, exactly, like cozy means very tiny,
real small. I think we have the same language as producers, right? Like, we are going to do our best. Means
exactly.
There's not a chance in hell this is going to.
Exactly, and that. I mean, unfortunately, you always have to, try your hardest and with diplomacy, but it is very important to set those expectations. Otherwise, you're setting yourself up for some really tough conversations down the line.
All right. So what are the takeaways? Basically everything we just said.
Have a heart-to-heart with yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Take a deep breath. Check in with your mental capacity, your personal life, your gut feeling. Because I feel like when you get a call for a job and it's explained to you, and you if you have in your gut feeling that you don't want to do it at that point, listen to yourself.
100%. If we didn't learn anything from 2020, that would be a crime. But what I learned, I can only speak for myself, is that I have to pay attention a little bit more to my own well-being, my own mental health. And, we all kind of reevaluated, at least I did, reevaluated what is important in my life. And a lot of it before was grabbing all the jobs, right? Taking every single day that I can get, taking every single job, overlapping, and sure, it benefited my bank account, but I don't think it benefited me in ways I thought it would, especially compared to what benefited me coming out of this pandemic, right? Where I learned where the value in my life is.
Yes. And I think that what I realized, that we spoke about for 80 episodes last year, was that I was on a trajectory as the pandemic came down of just job of overlap, and was getting to what end? To what end? So when, the forced break happened, there was some clarity there and understanding what I was doing to myself and not listening to myself. So coming out of that, I feel like putting yourself, you're important.
You're important.
And nobody will think that you are unless you think that you are yourself.
That is how you end an episode.
Take that away, bitches. Producers Happy Hour was created with the help of Christopher Daniels, who is a treatment designer. He created our logo and branding.
Yes. Kyle Puccia is a music composer for film and TV and commercials. He created our show music.
And this episode was edited by Eric Beals.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We are back next week.
Be safe out there.
Send us your voice recordings or your emails to producershappyhour@gmail.com.
Lawrence, how can people get you if they want you?
2 ways. LawrenceTLewis.com for all of my producing work. VoiceOfLawrence.com for voiceover work. Christian, how about you?
SisterChristianProduces.com.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.